a year after we were off the air. We finished in 2008. In 2009, I get a phone call asking me if I would like to partake at the United Nations in a. They wanted to have a panel with Ron Moore, David Icke, Mary McDonnell, and myself. And they wanted Whoopi Goldberg to moderate it. And it would be at the main United Nations and inviting everybody. So we did that. And the show did some extraordinary work. What they did, they ended up having the ability to look at us and the whole planet and hold a mirror up to it. We talked about reconciliation on the show between the Cylons and the human beings and what they had to do to reconcile after the Cylons had completely destroyed all of humanity and left us with only 49,000, human beings left that we knew of in the universe. And at the same time, it talked about right to choose, right to life. It talked about suicide bombings. It talked about terrorism. It talked about, children in war. And it talked a lot about the issues that the UN deals with every day. So they wanted to use the show to bring an awareness of how they deal. And we're very grateful that the show got a chance to discuss these things. And so they ended up bringing us into the UN, and we talked for about 3.5 hours there in the panel, and the place was jam-packed. The press was from all over the world came to view it. And I will say that I'm very grateful that that we had done the show the way we did it, because basically it helped a lot of people, because when they saw the religious connotations that we were putting forth, they had the right to choose, right to life episodes were just extremely powerful and completely different than what the norm is, and then one God versus many gods, that whole issue, terrorism. I mean, when we got into suicide bombing, I said, oh, waterboarding, oh my God. I mean, we were serious as a heart attack, and people had to deal with it. They started to say, my goodness, there's, as much as I don't want to say it, there's reasoning behind these, these human beings are sacrificing themselves because there's no hope. And they're going up against the Cylons and just blowing themselves up in front of the Cylons and just wiping themselves out because there's just no hope. And so why not go out with a sense of understanding that if you're just going to die, then okay, here you go. I'll die with reason. And so then all of a sudden people started to look at this situation. They didn't like it. They didn't like the right to choose, right to life. When I turned around and I said to our ensemble of spaceships, and I said, no one is allowed to kill a child, an unborn child. We need every single human being that we can get. A matter of fact, everybody go out and start making love and start making babies immediately. Everybody. Come on. We only have one chance to survive here. And that's for us to stick together and to really make our humanity grow, because it became an issue. I mean, a young woman said, I can't have a child. I can't bring a child into all this. I can't do it. I wish I could, but I can't. And on my planet, on Caprica, I have the right. And of course, the president who's the president, Rosalind, said she has the right. She has that right. And I said to both of them, I said, no, you don't, not anymore. All that's changed, and you cannot tell me that you are going to let that child. And that became a big issue. And then I'll never forget the joy of when the eraser erased the number of 49,000, erased it and put 1, and that was the end of the episode. I said, yes! The whole world said, yeah! And everybody went to that space. And that's why the UN called us in. They'd never done that. They'd never called us a television show and said, come on in, we're going to talk about the work of the UN, using your show as a means of communicating and bringing iconic or actually a contemporary piece of artistic work to help us explain. And they would show little, you know, situations from the show, and then they would talk about it. You know, show maybe 3 or 4 minute little trailer, and then they would talk for 20 minutes, and then they would open it up for the people to ask us questions as a whole, and of the UN. And it was beautifully constructed. You could see it. It's on YouTube.
What was the reaction of the people that were there that day to that panel?
Oh, amazed, cheering, you know, big cheering. And we ended up, you know, saying one of the things that I've been saying for many, many, many decades now, that we're only one race, the human race. Inside of the human race, there are many beautiful cultures, but we are just one race. There's no such thing as a Latino race or a Caucasian race or an indigenous race or an African race or an Asian race. There's only one race. That's the human race. And then I said, so say we all. And the place just went to the moon. We all took off together and we all said it. And people cheered. It was a great place to say that. And it was a great time to say it. It's hard because most people believe that the usage of the word race it can be done because they feel, because they've been taught for the last 600 years that there's different races. And there isn't. The word race is a unifying word. It's not a divisive word. And we've turned it into a divisive word so that it would be easier for us to kill each other. That's really the reason why it was changed over 600 years ago. And so I got a chance to say that. And Whoopi said it. She goes, man, what a great place to say that. And that show brought that out, because that's what the show stood for. It brought all culture together. There was no more them. Them were the Cylons, the machines, and us were all the human beings, and we were all one human race. And that's what it personified, and that's what I thought was really one of the brilliant strokes of the show, was able to understand itself in that manner.